Episode 150 of the Interpretation Station is called to order. Welcome, everybody. Marhaban bikum to all of you interpreters with Arabic in your combination. Welcome to this Jubilee episode. It's a special occasion. It's the Interpretation Station's 150th episode, and you, Arabic speakers, Arabic interpreters of the world, you have the fortune to be the audience for this episode, because we also, for this 150th episode, we have a very, very special guest with us today. Now, he's been on the show before a few times. It is, of course, my colleague, my friend, and also my political ally, but that's another story. It's Mr. Mohammed Assi.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Roland. Hi, Roland. How are you? It's a pleasure to be with you once again.
Thank you very much for you. Well, thank you very much for coming, Mohammed. I know everyone. It's so helpful to me when you're on here to hold my hand through the Arabic episodes, because we can sort of bounce off each other. You obviously have all the experience, and I'm just sort of new to it. I try and give the viewers a few new ideas, perhaps for language, English language, and new synonyms, that sort of thing. So yeah, thank you very much for being with us. Now, for today's episode, me and Mohammed, we're going to be covering a text by Syria. Mohammed may actually have done this text in the heat of battle, possibly.
I may have. I don't remember, but I may have, yes, or at least have done texts that are of the same nature.
Right. So it's we're going to. I'm going to share the screen so that everyone can see it. Can you see that, Mohammed?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, the pages are slightly out of sync, but anyway. So what we have for you today, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, is a statement by the permanent representative of the Syrian Arab Republic to United Nations and other international organizations in Geneva. And this was delivered at the Human Rights Council session in June of this year, 29th of June. And it's item 4, so it's quite controversial. And Mohammed can perhaps tell us more, but I know that it's one of these notorious, one of these dreaded country-specific resolutions when an individual country is sort of picked on, if you like, in the Human Rights Council. You have Syria is one such country. You have other countries like Belarus, Burundi,
Venezuela,
okay,
and Myanmar. Sri Lanka, okay. Many other countries that have had some kind of conflict over the last years. But Syria in particular, because there are a number of things actually going on at the Human Rights Council. One of them is COI, which is the Commission of Inquiry on Syria. And the other one is this, actually, the subject under our discussion today, which is the situation in the Syrian Arab Republic. And this one is one of those controversial topics that are debated on a yearly basis, sometimes 3 times a year by the Human Rights Council under item 4, or sometimes item 10 or item 7. Okay, here we go. So
we're going to go straight to it. Before we go any further, please do like, share, and subscribe. I'm going to tell you now rather than at the end, so you remember to do it right now. To remind you, of course, that I'll be putting in the description box a link to this text, as well as a link to the original statement as delivered by the Syrian delegate. You can go and listen. You can, and again, as ever, my recommendation to you is that, first of all, you go and listen and interpret this statement, record yourself, okay, and then come and watch the show and just listen to the commentary that me and Mohammed give to you on it, and see what other new ideas, see what other new linguistic solutions you can add to your arsenals. Okay, so yeah, without further ado, let's go down to page 1. So the way we're going to do it, me and Mohammed, we're going to sort of ping pong. We're going to ping pong a little bit. I'm going to start giving my version of the text, and then Mohammed is basically going to correct me and say how he would be approaching it, perhaps. And then likewise, when he does first, I'll just be chipping in with perhaps bits of other synonyms, maybe other sort of alternatives going into English language that can be of use to you. So if I may, Mohammed, may I start? May I start? If pretending I was in the Arabic booth.
Yeah, please be my guest. Go ahead.
Okay, so just obviously, and I'll just get my little pen ready here to highlight interesting stuff. Okay. We're in the Human Rights Council, so remember, the Human Rights Council is one of the big ones. So Rais is going to be president, always, obviously. For you, maybe beginners, let's say, that's always a thing. Just make sure you know if it's a president or a chairman, so on. No.
Or a chairperson.
Or chairperson, or chair.
Yeah.
You know what I play?
Chair.
Mohammed, you know what? I cannot bring myself to say chairperson. I hate it.
Well,
I hate it. So I just say chair. I just say chair.
Yeah. I think you have to accept it. You have to get used to it.
I swear, Mohammed, I've never said chairperson. I say chair,
it's
dear chair.
Correct. It's gender, you know.
But so is chair. So is chair.
Neutral, yeah. Anyway,
that's a rabbit hole we're not going to go down now.
Yes. Okay. So
okay. So, Mr. President, my delegation reiterates its opposition to debates in this council governed by agendas, interventionist agendas, and non-consensual decisions promoted in it by the United States and the European Union to provide justification for their policy of aggression, which violates the UN Charter and the bedrock that it is built upon. Okay, I was getting fancy there. The foundations it's built upon.
Yeah, the foundations, I would say. Okay.
What do you think, Mohammed?
Well, you know, this is typically one of those speeches that rely heavily on long sentences. This is a paragraph sentence, I would say. The interpretation was not bad at all. I would use resolutions instead of decisions.
Okay.
That's the Human Rights Council.
We've discussed this before. So,
So I like the use of the word opposition, although I would say rejection.
My
delegation reiterates its rejection of the council's debates, which are governed. You said interventionist.
I said which are governed or guided by.
Guided by, governed by. I would say intrusive or
intrusive. Okay.
Intrusive agendas. I would say. Non-consensual is good. I would use resolutions instead of decisions.
Okay.
Promoted, I would say promoted, supported, tabled. Submitted, promoted, I would say. Promoted by the United States and the European Union to provide justifications. I would use hostile policies.
Hostile, okay, not okay. Hostile policies, okay.
Hostile policies that violate the Charter of the United Nations. You said the bedrock, yes. Yeah. I would say the foundations on which the council, founded, was established.
And also, just because I'm looking at the syntax here, because obviously you don't hear the majlis until the last word, that you maybe the foundations that underpin this council.
Underpin is good, yes.
It's the same, as I see, it's the same sort of idea, the same sort of vision, for example. Yeah, the same idea.
Yeah, I say that although this sentence is quite long, but it's clear. It's clear, and we can see the meaning. I would accept it as is. I wouldn't cut it short or anything.
No.
Yes.
I seem to recall when we discussed this with qararat. Okay, so you say resolution as opposed to muqarrar, decision. That's the local Arabic booth,
yes. Well,
sort of way of distinguishing things, right?
Exactly. That's what the United Nations General Assembly uses actually whenever it comes to qararat and muqarrarat. So the word, so qararat would be interpreted or translated by resolutions and muqarrarat by decisions.
Okay, so guys, there's a good insider tip for you if you didn't know that. Okay, I'll do this next bit as well, this next sentence.
Yes.
And we reiterate along those lines our our opposition to mandates of this committee and its reports and biased and subjective statements which are based on spurious data or misleading data or information and prefabricated accusations that ignore the real causes of the crisis.
Yes. Prefabricated is good. Misleading is good.
Right? Okay.
But here in Arabic, the speaker says التي ونجدد في ذات السياق عدم اعترافنا
This threw me a little bit. عدم اعتراف.
Yeah, عدم اعترافنا, that we reject or refuse to recognize the legitimacy of the mandate, I would say.
Yeah, because I mean, our non-recognition that doesn't sound good English at all.
Yeah, we refuse to recognize the legitimacy of this mandate.
Okay. So I think you have to tweak that a little bit, because if you say for an English, we want to stress our non-recognition.
Or reject to accept the mandate.
Refuse to accept,
refuse to accept the mandate of this committee and its biased and non-objective reports.
منحازة, it's biased, right?
منحازة is biased. Yes.
Biased. One-sided.
One-sided, it could be one-sided, based on misleading information and prefabricated accusations that ignore, the real causes of the crisis. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Why don't you go now? You do this next paragraph, man.
This one is quite long, actually. I would like to give it a go. And
you stop it. Well, you stop it where you would
I'd
stop.
like to give it a go at first.
Yeah.
And try to translate it or side translate it as it is in the Arabic text. So in Arabic it says ففي الوقت الذي تواصل فيه الجمهورية العربية السورية جهودها لاستعادة وترسيخ الأمن والاستقرار وتحقيق الانتعاش الاقتصادي وتحسين الأوضاع المعيشية لمواطنيها وتسهيل عودة المهاجرين إلى وطنهم ومناطقهم الأصلية. All of this is the introduction to the idea that comes next. تواجه سوريا تحديات الاحتلال التركي والإسرائيلي والأمريكي لأجزاء من أراضيها واستمراره بدعم التنظيمات الإرهابية والميليشيات الانفصالية ورعايته لسرقة النفط والغاز والقمح وتهريبها عبر الحدود بالتزامن مع فرض التدابير القسرية الأحادية التي تهدف لحرمان الشعب السوري من احتياجاته وحقوقه الأساسية وإعاقة جهود التعافي والعودة إلى مسار التنمية. I mean, when you've read out this kind of paragraph, you would say, "Oh my God, what am I going to do?"
Yeah, right.
You see, because if I'm going to give it a word for word translation, and to see if you can follow, if you can feel that there is a meaning somewhere.
Yeah.
So it would start with, while the Syrian Arab Republic continues its efforts to restore and consolidate security and stability, achieve economic recovery, improve the living conditions of its citizens, and facilitate the return of displaced persons to their homeland and areas of origin, comma, and here we come to the heart of the idea. Syria faces the challenges of the Turkish, Israeli, and American occupation of parts of its territory. You see, continued, in addition to faces, continued support for terrorist organizations and separatist militias, sponsor theft of oil, gas, and wheat, which are smuggled across the border in conjunction with the imposition of unilateral coercive measures aimed at depriving the Syrian people of their basic needs and rights, and the obstruction of recovery and development efforts. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of paragraphs with which we're faced all the time, the Human Rights Council, and and other conferences as well.
Well, I'm just wondering, so where would you split it up? I mean, where would you make that sort of pause? Where would you sort of close off the sentence?
I would forget the word, drop the word while.
I was going to ask you. So fil waqt alladhi. Yeah. Okay. So
I would say, well, I used while. I would say at a time.
Yeah.
And at a time when Syria continues to make efforts continues its efforts at achieving economic recovery and improving the living conditions of its citizens, okay, and facilitating the return of displaced persons to their homeland and areas of origin, comma, our country, Syria, is or continues to face the challenges imposed by the Turkish, Israeli, and American occupation of parts of its territory. Dot. I would say period. I would stop here.
So after of its territory, where are we?
So
okay, here. So Mohammed is talking about here. Where I'm putting that red dot.
At territory.
Okay.
I would put a dot.
And then start the next sentence with...
in addition to that, we would say, in addition to that, Syria has had to grapple with, okay, the terrorist organizations and separatist militias, which continue to enjoy the support, because he's referring to the American, Israeli, Turkish here.
Yep.
Which continue to enjoy the support of the occupying forces or the occupying powers, okay? Occupying powers that sponsor their, I would say, sponsor the theft of our oil, gas, and wheat, which are smuggled across the country or across the border, across the border. And then we have to find across the border, and I think we need to put a full stop after border.
Okay, here. Let me just put that full stop in. Would I be right? It occurs to me with a lot of these long Arabic sentences, it's important to remember what that, like this verb, like the faces, okay? Because, okay, then you can split it up as you did here. Okay, they face the challenges of the occupation, and then okay, you break it up here, and I sort of figure that it's good to remember that face. Like you can then say with the new sentence, they also face the continued support to terrorist regimes. You really want to follow,
Syria,
right?
Yeah, you have
the verb.
Syria faces continues to face the challenge or to grapple with the terrorist groups or terrorist organizations and separatist militias, which are provided support, which are supported by the forces of occupation that sponsor their theft of oil, of our oil, gas, and wheat, which are then smuggled across the border. And I would put a full stop after border.
Okay, here, okay, and then the last bit.
So now, in conjunction, I would drop conjunction.
Okay, but does that mean you would drop this? Okay.
This happens simultaneously, I would say.
Uh-huh.
Or this is...
at the same time, you have...
This is made worse. You would say the situation is made worse by the imposition of unilateral coercive measures.
UCMs. I think you can go straight in with saying
UCMs.
The acronym straight away, UCMs. It's become quite a buzz phrase at the UN.
Which are aimed at depriving the Syrian people of their basic needs and rights. And basic needs and rights. Here, measures aimed at depriving the Syrian people of their basic needs and rights. And that are obstructing the recovery and development, obstructing our recovery and development efforts.
Okay. And I always think for you said for IACA, obstruction, right?
Yeah.
I always remember also, some synonyms for that, like hinder,
impede,
hamper, impede, exactly.
Hamper,
yeah. I always, it's one of those things, one of my favorites in my episodes. I always tell people to remember that sort of bundle of words.
Delay, I would say, whatever.
Okay. Let's go to the next paragraph. Shall I do the next paragraph, Mohammed?
Okay, you want to do it?
Yeah, let me give it. You might have to help me with Haziri. Hang on. So on the morning of Monday the 20th, was that June?
June 20th. Yes.
Huzairan. Okay.
Yes.
On the morning of Monday the 20th of June. You know what? I mean, if you're going very fast, I mean, sometimes I might drop the Monday. Sometimes, if you just give the day on Monday the 20th of June. If it's,
but not on Monday.
Yeah, not on Monday. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Okay. An attack by the Daesh terrorists on a passenger bus in Raqqa led to the deaths of 13 soldiers and civilians, and with others injured. This happened, full stop. This happened a day after the escape of dozens of Daesh terrorists from detention centers run by the Qasad separatist militia, sponsored by the US, in a repeat of previous scenarios that confirmed the American involvement in supporting and enabling Daesh attacks targeting the Syrian state. How was that, Mohammed?
Yeah, that was good, but you dropped two important words.
Okay.
Madaniya.
Here, right?
Hafilat Rukab Madaniya.
Did I not say a passenger bus?
You said you said a passenger bus, but he says Madaniya, which means that it's not military, it's not a legitimate target.
Right.
So so we need to stress that. So a civilian
bus, maybe. Okay.
Bus in Raqqa. Okay, that's good. And you said an attack by. He said tabannahu tanbih.
Right. I dropped the actual collocation. I mean, attack launched by.
I would say claimed.
Oh, claimed by.
Yeah, because tabanna, to claim responsibility for the attack. So that's claimed by.
Oh, okay. I get you.
Yeah, claimed by the terrorist organization of ISIS on a civilian passenger bus in Raqqa, resulted in the death of 13 military personnel and civilians, and the wounding of others, right?
Yep.
Okay. This attack came only one day after dozens of ISIS terrorists fled from a detention center.
Escaped, right?
Yeah, escaped. Led by Qasd. Qasd actually are the Syrian Democratic Forces. Quwat Syria Demokratiya.
Oh, that's in fact an acronym, is it?
Yeah, Qasd, yes, is an acronym. We rarely use acronyms in Arabic because sometimes you can come up with meanings that are unacceptable. See, with words that are contrary to what you want to say.
Yeah.
But anyway, the acronym in English is SDF.
That's very important, I suspect. Anything to do with
forces.
the Kurdistan, anything to do with the sort of Kurdish part of Syria, they're big players, right?
Mentioned there, but just Demokratiya, which means non-Islamists, actually. Non-Islamists.
Okay. SDF, so they're the SDF. Okay.
SDF, yes.
SDF, right.
So separate under the auspices or under the protection of the United States. What you said, you finished the sentence.
I said in a repeat of
previous scenarios or previous attacks that confirmed the American involvement in providing support for and facilitating the ISIS attacks targeting the Syrian state. Yes.
Yeah, I said enable for tasheel. I said enabling, so enabling, facilitating,
making possible, whatever.
Yeah, right.
I
said in English. I was trying to think of a better way of saying in a repeat of it, because obviously here, word for word, it's in a repeat of previous scenarios, which sounds a little bit clunky in English. Maybe in English it would perhaps sound better to say in a repeat of previous attacks, like you said. Yeah. I think that sort of reads better in English. Okay, let's move on to the next page, which is here. Okay. So Mohammed, do you want to?
Okay, so we are at في مناطق الاحتلال.
Yeah.
Okay. وفي مناطق الاحتلال التركي شمال سوريا تتواصل انتهاكات حقوق الإنسان التي يتعرض لها السكان نتيجة سياسة التتريك والتغيير الديموغرافي في القسري الذي يمارسه النظام التركي.
Where would you stop the sentence? Would you stop it there? Are we going to split this? Because this is another.
Yes.
Okay, the sentence goes down to here.
We can stop at Turkey. Okay, you say in the areas of the Turkish occupation in northern Syria, human rights violations against the population continue, and I would say, I would put a full stop at continue. This comes as a result of
here maybe you would put it here
after continue. I would put a full stop there, and I would start the sentence with this is the result of the policy of Turkification and forced demographic change practiced or exercised by the Turkish regime as a result, or that I would say taking advantage of the state of insecurity and the repeated attacks by its terrorist militias on the lives and property of the population.
Full stop?
Yeah.
Okay, so mumtalikatihim, you would stop it. Okay.
And lives and property of the population.
So for
of the inhabitants, you can say.
Al-infilat al-amni.
Insecurity.
This insecurity, one word. Okay.
Insecurity.
I was wondering if it was something like a security vacuum, so insecurity, one word is just the easiest way of rendering that. Then
would you say vacuum of security?
We do in English. We do talk about security vacuum.
Yeah.
But maybe insecurity is maybe easier. One word.
All right. So then where we got to.
So we're going to start a new sentence here, right?
Sentence, yes. Where did we stop? على حياة السكان وممتلكاتهم.
ممتلكاتهم, yeah, we stopped there.
Okay, ممتلكات السكان, right?
Yeah.
The militias, I would say, these militias continue to kidnap and torture the inhabitants under the protection of the Turkish occupation, which bears the responsibility for these aggressions or these attacks or these violations as an accomplice to these crimes.
Okay, I was going to suggest here for kasharik as an accessory.
An accessory to these crimes? Yes. As
a synonym, an accessory. I think we talk. Yeah,
I'm going to.
We use that quite a lot in UK, at least UK legalese as an accessory. So it's not the person who did it directly, but someone who is deeply involved in it.
Uh-huh.
And I noticed that, so you add, so I again, for maybe sort of interpreters in the start of their careers, I think it's worth noting how, Muhammad is, you just sort of have to do a bit of freewheeling, right? You have to throw in your own words sometimes to make the syntax flow, right? If you're able,
exactly.
to chop these sentences up
of the time, yes.
Yeah, you have to then just throw in a couple of things here and there just to keep the flow. Okay, and so what? Let's carry on, Mohammed.
Because when you say which bears responsibility and stop, but you have to say responsibility for these crimes, for these violations, for whatever. You see. Okay. Then we continue. وتشكل تهديدات رئيس النظام التركي مؤخرا حول ما يسمى بالمنطقة الآمنة في شمال سوريا امتدادا لمخططاته التخريبية وعدوانا على سوريا أرضا وشعبا. So it go the recent threats by the head of the Turkish regime about the so-called and here you say منطقة آمنة, I would say buffer zone.
A buffer zone, you call that's an important I was thinking it was the safe zone or something.
No, I would say buffer zone.
Buffer zone. Okay, remember that, guys. That's important.
So-called buffer zone in northern Syria are an extension of his subversive plans and aggression against Syria's land and people. And I would stop here. The same as the speaker.
Okay, right.
And we say ونشدد لأنه يقع على عاتق هذا المجلس مسؤولية رصد وتوثيق جرائم الاحتلال التركي على الأراضي السورية ومساءلته عنها. We stress that it is the responsibility of this council to monitor and document the crimes of the Turkish occupation on Syrian territory and to hold it accountable.
Accountable, that's a very important concept, isn't it? Hold it to account, hold it accountable for. One thing I was just going to say, is it يقع على عاتق? You said the responsibility. My idea was we stress that the onus is on this council. That's something. That's a good sort of thing in English.
يقع على عاتقه.
It's on the shoulders. I mean, literally, right?
Yeah. The responsibility lies on the shoulders.
Right. If you want to get literal, but or could you say, or maybe could you also maybe say it is incumbent? It is incumbent on this council. The onus is on. It's incumbent on. These are good. These are good alternatives.
Yeah. Or it is important. It is important that this council,
if you want to keep it simple, right?
Anyway.
Okay. Let me have a crack here.
This is a very long one.
Oh, let's see how we do.
Okay. It is divided 2 and 3 sentences, but it's a long one.
President,
go ahead.
Mr. President. Although I suspect that if you were doing this without text, you'd be getting pretty tired, and I would just advise you, as I often do, just to leave this out and take a deep breath. Okay, you don't need to say Mr. President again. I mean, it adds nothing. As part of efforts to recover from the aftermath of the terrorist war against her, the Syrian government continues its policy of settlements and national reconciliation in various parts of Syria. Full stop. Okay, we'll sort of stop there as well. How is that, Mohammed?
Yeah, I would instead of did you say the aftermath?
I said via for mufrazat. I said aftermath.
I would say repercussions.
Okay, so it's recovering from, right?
Yeah, جهود التعافي من مفرزات الحرب, repercussions, the consequences, whatever.
Repercussions, aftermath, Oh, I had an idea for this ta'afi. So I said recover from, which is
recovery.
The most
ta'afi is recovery.
Most obvious thing. Yeah. But I've often thought, Jesus, in English, there's something else that they use all the time in the media, and like when something bad has happened, and it is bounce back as part of its efforts to bounce back from the aftermath of war. I've never used that in the heat of battle in interpretation, but it suddenly occurred to me that they use that all the time in the media in Britain, America, everywhere, to bounce back from something. We're still trying to bounce back from the recession,
but you can also use recovery efforts.
Recover, absolutely.
COVID pandemic,
but just as if you want to really impress someone.
And
if you're feeling in great form and you want to really try out new solutions.
Recovery efforts, bounce back is good. I mean, that could be, that's a good term. Then you said national settlement and reconciliation.
Okay, I wasn't certain.
You said in various parts. I don't really like in the use in Arabic of this في مختلف المحافظات السورية. Saying that he meant across Syria, across the Syrian.
Because I said various parts of Syria. I said various parts of Syria.
I would say across Syrian provinces, governorates. Because
Muhaffaz, right?
And Muhafaza. I would say governorates, provinces. But I would say
in Russia, that in Russian they use that word. They say Muhaffaz in Russian. Especially when they talk about Afghanistan, they talk the
Muhaffaz.
Governorate, I think, is what we use sometimes.
Because in Arabic, when you say mukhtalaf, we mean everything. Across the country.
Right.
في مختلف, it doesn't say that we have excluded governorates or focused on a number of others. But when you say في مختلف المناطق, في مختلف المدن, في مختلف المحافظات, meaning that across these governorates, everywhere. In other words.
And was I right with the Masar at-Taswiyat, like settlements? Because I know there's lots of they have a lot of local ceasefires, local settlements. Do you think that's the right word? Yeah,
I would say settlement without an S.
Okay, the policy of local, of settlement and
reconciliation efforts.
Without the gotcha. I'll carry on. And presidential decree number 7, recently issued, granted a general comprehensive amnesty for all terrorist crimes committed before the 30th of April 2022. Is Nisan April?
Yeah.
With the exception of cases that led to fatalities. I know it says literally the deaths of people. Somehow it sounds a bit.
Literally, he says the death of a human being.
Death of a human being. Okay. You think a fatality would sound good?
Yeah, fatality. That lead to killing people. Where
resulted in
death, and the death of a person.
Right.
Yeah.
Was there anything else there? I said for an amnesty or a pardon for.
I would say amnesty. Yeah, it's presidential decree, a general and comprehensive amnesty for all terrorist crimes committed before the 30th of April, 2022, except in cases that resulted in the death of a person.
What's Amnesty International? What's that in Arabic?
Al-Afu.
So I'll carry on.
Go ahead.
And it granted Syrians living abroad that who had applied to who fell under its scope, settlement of their situation and return to their homes without the need for review without the need for review by any official body.
Yes. That's good. But I would start the sentence by saying this decree has made it possible.
Okay, again adding in the need to sort of just to give context.
Keep the listener,
Right.
Okay, so this decree has made it possible, or has allowed Syrians outside the country okay, to whom its provisions apply, or fall under the scope, apply, or okay, to regularize their
status, yeah, right,
regularize their status and return to the country without, I would say, instead بدل مراجعة, I would say without the need to be screened by an official body.
To be screened. Screened. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking for this taswiyah,
or to be cleared, or to be whatever.
I think just knowing that in English, to regularize their status is an important collocation to just be comfortable with, to be able to use, to regularize their status. Okay. This decree.
Yeah, just I mean, in some countries in the Middle East, when you arrive in the country at the airport, they would say, for example, if you have if they have any questions, further questions to ask you, they would say راجع المخابرات, راجع الأمن, which means you need to go to the headquarters of the Secret Service or intelligence services, either to get your passport back or to answer a few questions, etc., etc. And we all know what happens next. But,
well, I hope that doesn't happen to us, Mohammed, when we go to Egypt next weekend.
No,
me and Mohammed are going to Egypt, you see, on a mission. So fingers crossed that won't happen to us.
Yeah, that would be COP27.
If it does, if it happens to us, we promise we'll make another episode from the prison cell. That'll be interesting.
No, I'm sure that's not going to happen.
Where do we get to?
I don't think it's happening in Syria now. So, yeah, anyway. Wow.
Okay, this decree constitutes an advanced stage in Syria's efforts to achieve national reconciliation and enable the return of IDPs within and outside Syria.
Yeah. Inside and outside Syria,
Inside, outside Syria.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, carry on.
No comment here, yeah, go ahead.
It's worth pointing out that the president of Syria has signed since 2011 dozens of decrees, dozens of decrees granting pardon that have benefited tens of thousands of Syrian citizens, together with the participation of thousands of others in settlement and national reconciliation processes to reintegrate them into their home communities with the, what was the word I found? Striking down all procedures against them.
Yeah.
Repealing all procedures against them.
Okay. I would cut this long sentence short. I would stop at thousands of Syrians, tens of thousands of Syrian citizens. I would stop there.
Here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And by the way, in Arabic, ويتعين التذكير بأن رئيس الجمهورية العربية السورية وقع منذ عام 2011 20 مرسومة عفو 20. You said 10 scores, but it is 20. It is 20. 20.
20, yeah, yes. Right.
Yeah, but I would stop at citizens, and then I would say thousands more. I start the new sentence with thousands more have been included in the process of settlement and national reconciliation, leading to their reintegration in their local communities or home communities after the cancellation, I would say.
Cancellation for illegal.
Yeah, cancellation of all the proceedings against. You said procedures or proceedings?
Procedures, I think I said.
Yeah, well.
Proceedings is better, maybe, yeah?
I would say proceedings.
Proceedings.
Against them.
Because we talk about legal proceedings against someone as opposed to, it is a bit different, isn't it? So in Arabic for procedures would be, what's the word they're more likely to use?
procedures الإجراءات see بس proceedings I would say legal proceedings.
Yeah. Okay.
That is what, yeah.
You would use the same word in probably than in Arabic, would you?
But
but there is a difference in English. There is a difference.
There is. I would like to ask you, I mean, he says ويتعين التذكير. I mean, he's reminding everybody.
Yeah.
I would say it should be recalled.
Okay.
It is worth
mentioning. You know better than me. It should be recalled, huh?
It should be recalled that since
I think I looked it up and I saw it's worth pointing. I think I looked up.
It's worth pointing at it. Yeah. Well, okay. I would like.
Is it literally? It means it's worth recalling, huh?
Yeah, it's worth. Yeah, it should be recalled.
It should be recalled.
Okay. The president of the Syrian Arab Republic has signed 20 decrees of pardon.
20 decrees, right?
Benefiting tens of thousands of Syrian citizens. Then we start a new sentence. Thousands more have been. Okay.
Right. Okay,
instead of joining these two sentences together with, I would stop there and start with a new sentence with thousands more.
Right. And I was just thinking here, I think it was important, the istifad, there might be a temptation to maybe leave that to say this, 20 thousands of decrees, then you might think, okay, you're waiting for the noun that tens of thousands of Syrian citizens have taken advantage of. But if you just say benefit immediately, those are two sort of expressions that sort of go hand in hand. Take advantage of, one being, I guess, transitive, and the other the point is you can put benefit immediately. You can say that these decrees have benefited those citizens. But if you're going to use the take advantage of, you have to wait. You have to remember the verb and leave it till the end. You have to say that tens of thousands of citizens have taken advantage of. And if the speaker's going very fast, that might give you problems. I think it's just important to be able to get that benefit in, because that benefit allows you just to stick with the syntax of the original.
Because I would prefer benefit rather than the use of taking advantage.
Yeah.
Because taking advantage can be used for something which is bad. Like, for example, as he said earlier, that the Turkish occupation has taken advantage of the situation. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So you want to continue?
Okay. Well, let's give it back. I'll give it back to you, Mohammed, for the.
All right.
Where are we now?
Okay.
So I'll read
it. ودعما لتهيئة بيئة مواتية لعودة النازحين واللاجئين، تولي حكومتي اهتماما خاصا بإعادة تأهيل البنية التحتية التي دمرها الإرهابيون. This is also a long sentence that can be, وبخلق فرص عمل جديدة واستعادة الأنشطة الاقتصادية والتنموية. I would say, in support of creating an enabling environment for the return of displaced persons and refugees, my government pays particular attention to the rehabilitation of the infrastructure destroyed by the terrorists. I would put a full stop here.
Full stop there. Yeah. One thing I was going to say, so I noticed you went with enabling. You said bi'a muwatia, so that's conducive, enabling, conducive, favorable, why not favorable as well,
Okay, التي دمرها. Okay, then I say the rehabilitation. It also pays particular attention, or also pays attention to the creation of new jobs.
Right. Again. Notice how Mohammed he's throwing in a verb again just to give it structure.
Right. It also pays attention to the creation of new jobs and the restoration of economic and development activities. You see here, development activities. Here وبخلق فرص واستعادة الأنشطة الاقتصادية والتنموية.
And one thing I might say, an alternative for isti'ada, reviving.
Okay, revitalizing.
Revitalizing, right.
Okay.
Reinvigorating.
Why not? Okay.
There you go.
Resumption,
Right. Any of those.
وتواجه هذه الجهود عراقيل تسييس لقضية عودة اللاجئين والمشروطية السياسية. This terminology is, المشروطية السياسية. Syrian Arabic is quite, convincing sometimes, but that's why they're fluent. They're very fluent, and they use so many terms.
Is that the? I mean, I must say, I've used quite a few Syrian statements in my Arabic episodes for the interpretation station. Perhaps that's not an accident, because is the Syrian sort of thought to be the most one of the most classical
education.
Sort of
I mean, education of Arabic is teaching of Arabic is quite advanced in Syria.
Right.
Okay. So, والمشروطية السياسية, I personally wouldn't use المشروطية السياسية, and you'll see in the translation, على برامج التعاون الإنمائي ومشاريع التعافي المبكر إضافة لتوسيع نطاق الحصار الاقتصادي. Okay, وتواجه هذه الجهود. Then I would say these efforts are hindered by the politicization of the refugee, or of the question of the return of the refugees.
Okay.
Politically motivated conditions imposed. I wouldn't say مشروطية السياسية, I would say politically motivated conditions imposed on development cooperation programs. Imposed. So I wouldn't say مشروطية, I would say political conditionality.
Yeah, I hear literally. You get that, Mohammed.
Yeah.
I hear that quite a bit, to be honest, in English. I would say that I wouldn't feel bad about saying that, to be honest.
Okay, then
I feel all right with that in this context. If I was to say that to my friends out in the pub, they'd probably look at me and think, "You weirdo." But sitting in the booth in the UN, like I'm all right with saying conditionalities.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I would use imposing political conditions, anyway, on development cooperation programs and early recovery projects, as well as the expansion of the economic blockade.
Blockade. For Hisar el-Iqtisadi, I was just going to suggest the embargo.
Well, or embargo, yeah.
Often when they talk about, Cuba is like the classic case when they talk about the US embargo.
The Caesar Act, which led to this embargo.
Oh, is that right? That was following
Qanon Qaisar.
Okay. So anyway, embargo, blockade.
Because we're side translating here, I use blockade, but we better use embargo.
Okay. I mean, to me, I think when they talk about Cuba, they use both the blockade, the embargo, whatever.
Now we got the conclusion now.
Okay. We'll split this in half, shall we? Okay. Okay. In conclusion, my delegation rejects the accusations and fallacies peddled in the reports of the committees and the states that sponsored its mandate, as well as attempts to promote the creation of any new international instruments on Syria.
Well, yeah, mechanisms, instruments, yes.
For what? Sorry, mechanisms.
For Aliyat, yeah.
For Aliyat is better mechanisms, right?
Yeah, well. Oh, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Did you like my pedal?
Yeah. Although I would have used promoted,
because he uses this word a lot in this text. I think he's about to use tarawij. I think that's a word that crops up quite a few times in this.
Yeah, at-tarwij, yeah.
And just to give it a bit of variety, pedal has got a definite negative connotation to it, like street peddlers. Propagate. Can you propagate?
Propagated.
Maybe as well.
Disseminated, whatever. Accusations and fallacies.
So I was good with fallacies for mughalitat.
Claimed in the committee's reports and the statements of the states sponsoring its mandate and their attempts to promote the establishment. You said the
creation, I think.
Creation is good.
Because look, he uses that tarwij twice in that same sentence, doesn't he? So that's why I was thinking throw in pedal one time. Let me do this next sentence.
Yeah.
And we reaffirm that claims of concern for human rights in Syria and supporting efforts towards a political solution and ending the suffering of refugees and their host communities is not consistent with promoting, here we go again, tarawuj, trumped up accusations and controversial decisions and biased reports in this chamber. And I'll put a full stop there. So again, he's scared that this tarawuj, is it how do you
go tarweej? Yeah, well, propagation, I would say, propagation, launching, lodging, you know, like for example, go back to al-mu'allaba, al-ittihamat al-mu'allaba.
I said trumped up. That's often my go-to collocation with false accusations. Trumped up.
I would say ready-made.
Ready-made, okay.
Yeah. Because that's what mu'allaba is actually.
Is that right? Literally, it's
mu'allaba is canned. Literally is canned.
Canned, right?
Accusations. They're ready-made, ready to be used at any time.
You're right.
Yeah. So controversial decisions and false reports. Okay, that are echoing in this chamber.
In this chamber. Did you like also when I said la tamur abr tarwij al-ittihamat? So I said that are inconsistent.
Inconsistent. So yes. But the suffering and refugees and their host communities do not pass through the promotion.
But that's why I said that. I thought that because the pass through doesn't sound very English. Yeah, doesn't sound very good in English.
Exactly. That's what he used. Okay.
That's why I thought maybe.
Yeah, he said that
it's not consistent with doing.
لا تمر. Okay, عبر ترويج الاتهامات. It's not consistent. You know.
It's not helped.
You have to go back to al-maza'im al-hirs.
Right. So I said concerns, like claims of concern for, claims of protecting, whatever.
Exactly. The allegations of concern, allegations, claim. Yeah, because they say, okay, what he wants to say that he claimed that you attach great importance to human rights, but at the same time, look what you do. And those, these claims of, I would say, interest in human rights are not compatible.
That's maybe slightly better than consistent. Yeah. Are not. Yes, I like that. Not compatible with. Right.
Good.
Okay. And maybe you want to do go from the end to the end.
Where did you start?
So bal tatalab.
Where is that?
Right in the middle.
But if you want to continue in this chamber, but require the initiative to immediately and unconditionally lift all unilateral coercive economic measures. These UCMs are the buzzword in every Syrian, Venezuelan speech. Cuban. Okay, lift coercive measures imposed on the Syrian Arab Republic, the departure of the occupying United States and Turkish military forces from all Syrian territory, and the re-establishment of the authority of the Syrian state over these territories, and respect for the right of the Syrian people to decide the future of their country without external interference, and support efforts to facilitate or to enable the return of displaced persons and refugees to their homes. I think this could be also cut short or divided into at least 2 or 3 sentences because it's long. So we started with, it stresses that the allegations of concern for human rights in Syria and support, etc., are not compatible with with the promotion of ready-made accusations or trumped-up accusations, controversial decisions and false reports echoing in this room, but require, I would say, I would put a full stop after chamber.
Yep.
Okay. This, however, requires the initiative to immediately and unconditionally lift all unilateral economic measures imposed on the Syrian Arab Republic. I would put another full stop here.
Okay.
It also requires,
yeah,
or it also calls for the departure of the occupying.
So you've got to remember the yatatallab, haven't you? Like before. This is just what I was saying before when we talked about it was yuwajih. I think it seems to me that you have to. It's useful to remember the key verb, isn't it?
Yeah, you can repeat it. There is no.
Do you ever write it down? Do any interpreters ever just write the verb, the key verb down, so when they come up to a long sentence, they know they can refer back to it?
Repeat it.
I'm just wondering if that would be a useful technique.
Yeah. So I would stop at Arab Republic and we start the sentence with, it also requires, or it calls for, if you don't want to use require, the departure of the occupying military forces of the United States and Turkey. Turkey. By the way, we don't say Turkey anymore. We say Turkey.
Oh, that's right. That's a new thing, isn't it? Turkey. Yeah.
Turkey in English. So
in English, yes, in English, it's now Turkey officially
into the national name of Turkey, which is now Turkey.
Yeah.
Okay, so I give the floor to the distinguished delegate of Turkey. Don't say Turkey anymore.
It's not yet. That's right.
So it also calls for the departure of the occupying military forces of the United States and Turkey. And Turkey, sorry, from old Syria.
There you go. That's the problem.
Yeah, we've been using this name for decades, and now we have to change it.
I don't think anyone struggled. And, for me, I never had a problem distinguishing between the name of the country and the bird you eat at Christmas time. It was never
Turkey,
really was a problem.
Maybe because of that,
Now I think about it more having to do this than I'd never really associated the two. Anyway,
Roland, did you know, for example, that the United States never says Myanmar? It says Burma.
Well, and I think the UK is the same, man.
Yeah,
I think the UK and even France, I know the French often call it Birmanie.
Yeah.
They don't recognize it under the new name. Yeah.
Anyway, so the departure, etc., forces from all Syrian territory and the reestablishment of the authority of the Syrian state over these territories. I would put another full stop here.
Okay. Here. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, and this also calls for
going back to your yatatallab. That's the key
this
verb,
also
right?
Requires, or in addition to that, we need to ensure the respect of the right of the Syrian people to decide the future of their country without external interference. I would also put a full stop here.
Okay.
It is imperative to provide support to aim at or to facilitate or to enable the return of displaced persons and refugees to their homes. That, first of all, you stress these ideas, you make them clearer by using short sentences, and it is easier for the interpreter and the listener alike.
Okay, and that brings us to the end. I wonder, Mohammed, would you have from that text? Can you think off the top of it 3 things that you highlight? 3 things that you would highlight from that text to remember, to take away.
The acronym QASD.
Okay.
SDF.
What was that? We had that here. QASD, right?
Claim responsibility for an attack. Claim responsibility.
All right. Where was that? No, that was on the second page.
Claim responsibility. I would say.
That was here, wasn't it? There we go. Claim responsibility.
Claim responsibility. Yeah. It's Monday.
Yep.
On the morning of Monday, June 20th.
Yep.
You see, I would also take away from that is the necessity to cut sentences short.
Okay.
And if you have a long sentence, paragraph, I would say, well, that's what they are actually. Never hesitate to put a full stop somewhere and to repeat the verb again and again. You see, it is better to repeat, to sound repetitive than to lose the meaning.
To lose the meaning. There you go. And the one thing I would say is bounce back. Bounce back from a session. Bounce back from a bad experience. There you go.
الاتهامات المعلبة.
Oh, there we go. The trumped up, the ready-made accusations. Okay.
Trumped up. Yes.
So there's quite a few little cooked up. We sometimes also talk about cooking up accusations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vamped up.
Right. Okay, well, thank you very much, Mohammed. There you have it, guys. Oh, it's always a pleasure. I hope that the viewers, I hope you've enjoyed the show. I hope you've learned some new vocabulary and learned some new tricks. As I said before, all the links that you need are available in the description box. Please do remember to like, share, and subscribe. And really, nothing more to be said other than I hope that Mohammed will join me to do more Arabic episodes. We can do a special from Egypt if we've got nothing better to do.
Yeah, I mean, I would say my last word would say that remember, every time we try to translate a long paragraph, we seem to have lost it. You see, we seem to have lost it. Unless we cut those sentences short, then our meaning would not be
right. Confused. It just sort of
because
just lose it, don't you? You just lose the thread.
You lose the thread, exactly. In order to keep the consequences of the ideas, the sequence of the ideas, be careful to or make sure that you cut sentences short.
There you go. Thank you, Mohammed, one more time.
You're welcome.
Guys, it's been a pleasure. And all that remains for me to say is that episode, the Jubilee episode, the 150th episode of the Interpretation Station stands adjourned.
Goodbye.
The train is now leaving the Interpretation Station. We hope you enjoyed your visit